Yeah, roll it, Johnny.
Yeah. All right, party people in the place to be. Let's jam. This is a very special, very early episode of Pink Buzz, and today we have a very special guest. A guest that's pretty much single handedly responsible for getting me into crowdfunding comics, and I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce himself.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Dave Cook. I'm a comic writer from Edinburgh, Scotland. I'm the creator and writer of Kiltopia, a cyberpunk comic series which has just concluded this month with its fifth and final issue. And I also write video game history books for Bitmap Books, a publisher here in the UK, on top of some other comics as well.
Yeah, you also got a new issue of this dropping. It's being released at, kind of as we speak, right? Or it
Yeah, it's actually production's almost wrapped on that. BPM, it's issue 2 that's coming out. So that's set in the Kiltopia universe. It's kind of a prequel because it's set in the 90s, but it's our tribute to old school beat 'em up games like Streets of Rage 2, Final Fight, Double Dragon, and even like cheesy action movies that we love. Like we're big fans of Commando and stuff like that. So it really is just a love letter to beat 'em ups and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that should be coming out early mid September kind of time. We're just like wrapping up production, but yeah, it's set in the Kiltopia universe. So if you want to see where, yeah, if you're familiar with Kiltopia and you want to see where Kaiju Cola came from,
Yeah.
this comic talks about that kind of origin story. So yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun comic.
put the
Thank you.
knife
Yeah.
down, Bennett. Why deny yourself the pleasure? Are you going to put that line in there? Kind of
Oh, there's definitely, you'll see there's some definitely there's a lot of quips in there later as we go further on. It gets sillier and sillier and more referential as it goes. Watch this space is all I'll say. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I can't wait to get issue 2.
Thank you.
You're in the depths of fulfillment for Kiltopia 5 at the moment, right?
Yeah, I've got like about another 100 or so packages to send out, so I'm in the home stretch. But it's been not gonna lie, it's been really positive and nice to see, like all these people. You're shipping the comic out to all these people all around the world, but at the same time, it's like it's so tough. It's like the toughest part in my mind. Writing the comics easy for me compared to this, right? This is the bit I don't like because it stops me from being creative, coming up with ideas, doing the fun, passionate part of it, right? But yeah, once all the comics are out the door, I always breathe a sigh of relief, and I'm like, yeah, that's really nice that everyone bought that.
Mm-hmm.
I just appreciate it.
Just to give people perspective, right? You do this all yourself. You pack it yourself. You drive it to the post office. And Kiltopia 5, you had just over 1,000 backers for the 5th issue. I mean, these probably aren't all physical. There's probably some digital in there, but that just gives you an idea that you're packing well over 500 packages to send out. Well over that, probably closer to 1,000 than the 500 mark. So that's quite an order. That's a full-time job all on its own, on top of trying to maybe work on new material, writing stuff, hitting socials, promoting your stuff. So I mean, I could see how. And you threw a little vacation in the middle of there as well. You came to Canada, actually. You went and visited Toronto and Niagara Falls, actually, for your 40th birthday. So happy 40th birthday to you, my man.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it was wild. It was kind of like that holiday was kind of like in the middle of the fulfillment. So it was like I totally went turbo mode before the holiday. Just got as much done as possible, relaxed for a few weeks, then I was right back on it. So it was nice though, just to like put the business hat off, right, and just enjoy myself for like a while. Because it's so important to take those breaks, right? You got to do it, otherwise, I've been burned out before really bad. And comics are supposed to be fun, right? You're creating something here, so there's always going to be challenges and hard work involved. It's not all smiles, right? But you got to cut yourself some slack here and there, of course.
Well,
be kind to yourself.
And you kind of don't make stuff easy on yourself because I backed kind of just the general physical copy, and basically you get to pick your print. So you have to like go through and like for every package, it's probably different for which people want which print and stuff. So like that's got to be a bit of a headache, huh?
Yeah, it actually means it's harder to do like automated ordering and stuff like that. Like here in the UK, I don't know if you guys have this your way, but in the UK there is a service which makes it much easier. You pack it up, it's all printed out for you, all the labels, everything is all automatic, and someone comes to your house and picks it up rather than me driving to my post office and making their life a living hell. But it's difficult because of the way exactly what you said, the way we do that, all the variables makes it so difficult. But if I'm gonna start reducing the amount of Kickstarters I do from this point, and focusing more on pitches. But the things like BPM 3 and 4, Ninja Baseball, my other series, gonna maybe offer less variables and less rewards. We're still gonna do some cool stuff, but I realize now it's too much. I always want to give people like loads of cool stuff to choose from, but that's a nice intention. But it's getting to the point where it's becoming problematic for me. I mean, so.
Especially as you gain a following as well, you gain more and more people, so it creates a lot more work for you. So I mean, it's like you said, it's a nice problem to have, but it can become tedious, and like you said, the risk of burning out or.
Well, that's the thing is you're a little too talented now to keep doing Kickstarters because like. You know what I mean? Like the word's out there, and like there's certain dudes like you, and like Jordan Thomas is another one where like you can't help it but like finally take that big step to the big leagues because you guys are just too good to be, in the minors still. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I really appreciate that, honestly. So I used to have a few years ago this mindset, right, where not because of like any sort of like I wasn't trying to be smart, a smart ass or anything, but just like, I don't think, I want to try it and do it on my own, be self-sufficient. I'm not going to just try it without publishers. I don't know, with the exception of, our current publisher for Kiltopia, we signed with them because they could get us distribution, right? Which is something, Diamond, stuff like that, stuff that I couldn't realistically do myself, so they helped us on that front. But everything else, yeah, I mean, we kind of do it ourselves, and I wanted to just see how far we could own it right ourselves. But you're right. I mean, everyone's been telling me, and I like I said before we went live, I feel really, really egotistical, bigging myself up. But if I'm being honest, a lot of people are saying to me, like, how come you aren't working with like bigger publishers just now? I'm like, I don't know, because I've never tried, because I didn't believe that I could, right? And this year I was like, no, you know what? Start just reaching out to people. And so many other comic writers and artists out there have been so nice at giving me contacts and doing introduction emails. So I really appreciate all their help with that. And people didn't tell me to go away. Sure, I got a few people who now didn't reply, but yeah, I'm now talking with editors about potential projects and stuff, and big ones too. And it's like, holy crap! Like, why didn't I do this sooner? If I just believed in myself more. So I guess any other writers watching this, like, just shoot for the moon. Who cares? Doesn't work out now, that doesn't mean it might not work out later. At least all they can say is no, but then they're aware of you, right? You're on their radar somewhat, and it's like, I just wish I'd done it sooner, to be honest. But
yeah, well, like we're saying off air, I think it's the perfect time too. You wrapped up the first arc of Kiltopia, so like now would be a good time to kind of make that transition. You finished up your main series, your bread and butter, as to say, so, I mean, all the best of luck to you. I think, you're definitely a shoo-in to work or have Kiltopia maybe picked up by a publisher or something like that. I mean, definitely. I mean, it speaks for itself. Like we were telling you before we came live, like if anyone's read Kiltopia, they know the quality of the work, both in the writing and your art team as well. Did a fantastic job on this comic. It's like top tier all the way through. Like, I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about this book. I mean, it's top notch. I mean,
thank you. No, I genuinely appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and again, just shout out to everyone that's worked on it: Craig, Clark, Lou, Micah, and Rob on the letters. So Rob did the first one, Micah did the rest. Just all bringing it their best game to it, right? They you see it in the pages as well, like the detail in that artwork, the vibrancy of the colors, even the lettering. Like it's all just like I really just appreciate of everyone, of all of them for getting involved. And I mean, the books are really long. I mean, they're at least 50 pages each. That's a long project, and I'm so grateful they've just stuck with me this whole time, and got it to the end. And everyone seems really up for working on the sequel when it finally happens. I don't know when I'm going to finish writing it, but it is going to happen at some point. And the fact they were immediately just like, "Yep, sign me up," and I'm like, "Cool, yeah, okay, you want to do more of this with me? Cool, I'm fine with that." So,
like you said, it's been a long trip. It's been a long road. If I look at, I go on Kickstarter. I mean, issue 1 funded on March 4th in 2018. Issue 1 got funded. But that's like, I mean, you put tons of work into that before even issue 1 came out. So how long when did this project start? Like in your head, like before you actually ended up coming out with the first issue?
So it was 2016. Before I explain that, I think this is a tip that I'll give to anyone thinking about doing a comic Kickstarter, right? Because I see this quite a lot as well. I get a lot of people coming into my inboxes, right, saying, my Kickstarter launches tomorrow. I don't have that many pre-sign-ups. Is there anything I can do to market it? And I was like, when did you start marketing it? Oh, I'm starting now. And I'm like, man, dude, it's never too early to start doing it. Mm-hmm. And we started marketing, like, it was very slow drip feeds, right? Here's a character reveal. Here's a little thing. Like, honestly, a year before Killtopia 1 came out. So that's 2017, to work backwards. We started, like, actually, that was our first big reveal. Hey, here's our announcement to the world. We're doing this thing.
Something we're working on,
yeah. Yeah, totally. And then, but the actual story ideas started coming in 2016. Because that was the year the world went wrong. U.S. election, Brexit, so many things just didn't go right that year. And here in the UK, I think I've told the story a million times, but I'll give you the short version. Our healthcare system here is not the same as the one in America. We don't pay for healthcare unless you go private, right? But our government is really terrible. We still have the same government for some reason ever since that year. And they're just selling off all of our public infrastructure. Everything's becoming paid for. And they really want to do the same with our healthcare system. They want to make it the American system. And I'm taking ADHD medication now. I take inhalers. It wouldn't be that expensive for me to start paying for those things. But I think of other people who have like chronic pain. And I just started to think, like, how scary would that be if you had all these things that were free suddenly taken from you? It would ruin your life. In some instances, people couldn't afford to eat and stuff. So then that's basically where the idea for Killtopia came from. You know, it's got the rot, the disease running throughout it. Shinji, the main character, is wondering how is he going to pay for his sister's medical care, which is why he starts hunting the mechs and things like that. So that really scary idea that our government started putting out there was the main catalyst for the whole thing. That was the day one, first one was like, right, okay, there's something there, and the cogs start to turn as they do. Wasn't even that big a fan of Cyberpunk at the time, but I was a fan of Transmetropolitan, which I always feel weird talking about now because Warren Ellis kind of got cancelled and he did some creepy things. But I can't deny that was the thing. That was my favorite comic at the time, because I come from a journalist background, and that comic's all about journalism, so it's kind of spoke to me. But that world in Transmetropolitan is very satirical, kind of cyberpunky, just strange, full of like weird social media, weird fads and trends. So that healthcare thing plus Transmetropolitan just came together, and it all just rolled from that point. Essentially, 2016 is when it kind of all started.
Nice. I was wondering because like the whole healthcare system thing in the book, I was wondering why that context was so prevalent in there, and that makes sense. I didn't know that they were threatening you guys with that over there. Like,
yeah, they actually did it again last week. So they're still doing it. It's because like not to get political, but I mean, Killtopia is quite a political series anyway. But like a lot of our government is so corrupt right now, and I'm sure it's the same in other countries. But so many of our politicians, their wives or husbands work for these companies, these private healthcare companies. So it's like just all about how they can make more money. It's terrible. I want Scotland to become independent ASAP, so we don't have to deal with that anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I live in Canada, so we haven't gotten to that point yet. But I could see that kind of because it's just getting worse and worse. Services are getting worse and worse, and I don't know if that's like a ploy to like be like, oh, maybe it'll be better if we go private, like to try to, I don't know. Anyway, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think you're right though. Just really quick, I think you're right because they keep taking budgets away from the healthcare service, then going, look how bad it is. It's like, well, but people have short memories, right? They don't connect those dots. And anyway, yeah, I could write another book about all that, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like, and people don't realize like insurance companies aren't there to help you. They're there to make money. So if they can get out of paying for anything and leave you up shit's creek, that's exactly what they're do. The almighty dollar is king, and they'll do they're like, I mean, we could make a group of scum of the world, and I think people that work in insurance, they end up in that category. Maybe not all, but like I told my wife,
a majority.
Yeah, during the pandemic, they were like, oh, we'll defer payments, right? Car insurance, this and that, because everything was shut down. We kept paying our house insurance and everything. I was like, no, I was telling my wife, I was like, listen, they're not doing this for nothing, because when things go back to normal, they're going to find a way to recuperate all that money that people weren't giving them. And look, housing insurance, car insurance has skyrocketed since the pandemic has been officially claimed over. And things have been back to normal. Like it's insane. The insurance just for cars and housing for your house now, it's gone up like dramatically. So
yeah, this is an interesting thing that I like going back to Kiltopia. Like I said to a friend recently, like, and this isn't a spoiler for anyone who's not finished it yet, but I wanted the end. I actually struggled on the ending, the big final. You guys all know what I'm talking about. It's like the final sort of. It's like Ghost in the Shell. It sort of ends. Or near a part of the ending is a big philosophical discussion between the good guys and the bad guy. Ghost in the Shell had a lot of stuff like that, big philosophical quandaries about life and what it means to be human and stuff. I really wanted to pay tribute to that, so it has a scene like that in it. And I thought, okay, what are they going to talk about? Like, are they going to talk about how bad this world is? Because that's a downer. Like, what was this all for? But then I went the opposite way and made it kind of optimistic. Like, I think a lot of us need to convince ourselves that everything will be okay, the environment will, that eventually we'll just acknowledge that the planet is past the point of no return, probably. And let's maybe like stop fighting and do something about it. And then once it went to print, I went, was that stupidly optimistic? Am I an idiot? Have I romanticized that too much? I don't know, but I guess like it's still being shipped out. People will tell me if it's not right or not, but yeah, I don't know. I just thought I still have to believe that we can turn it around. Otherwise, you can't just give up. But maybe it's foolishly optimistic. I don't know.
Hard to say. It's hard to say. I mean, These days it seems bleak, but I don't know. We'll see. Like the divide seems to be bigger than ever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Some days I'm like, life is great, and other days you just open up the phone, you look. I think social media is the worst thing to go on. Actually, if you want to keep a positive state of mind, stay off social media.
Yeah, totally. I tell you, this week actually, I mean, I've had my phone in the other room the whole day. I think I got my screen time down to like an hour and a half now per day. No joke, it was.
That's not bad. That's pretty good.
Yeah. At its worst, it was 7 hours, but that's because I was writing on it, and I just thought. It was like you said, like social media is constant, and you're just like, nah, forget that. It's been really nice. Actually, I've been reading a lot more comics lately because of it. Instead of just reaching for the phone and doing this, I'm like, hey, I'm going to read. So I've got a big pile. I back so many Kickstarters as well, as many as I run a lot, but I also try to back as many as possible to support people. And there's so many stuff I haven't read yet. So I'm like, I need to. This has been nice to actually tackle that pile and get through some things, which has been good. But yeah.
Well, you've been very supportive in that scene. I mean, like you also really help people with their campaigns all the time. Try to point them into how to, be better and make more money, which is always really cool. I always like when creators do that, go out of their way to help the newbies. Well,
you actually wrote a guide, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I wrote a free ebook about it in 2021. And it wasn't like, I wasn't trying to say I'm an expert. It was just kind of like, here's my experience of, since I've been doing this since 2014, which is when my first Kickstarter went live. And it's everything, right? It's pre-planning, setting a sensible target, setting shipping rates, marketing, fulfillment. It's the whole end-to-end process. I gave it away for free on Gumroad. There's donations if people want to pay for it. I don't mind if people get it for free.
Do you still have it up on Gumroads?
It's still there. Like I understand there was some problem with Gumroad. I haven't looked into it, but I need to actually refresh it because a lot of stuff has changed with Kickstarter and other platforms since that book came out. I just need time to do it, but yeah, it's still up there if people want to check it out. It's just called Crowdfunding Comics, and if you search for my name, you'll find it. It's completely free. Take it and use it. Yeah, if I can help people, because people helped me back in the day, right? And I'm a big believer of just giving that back and sending it around, so why not?
So I saw you and Craig were doing live Q&As for Killtopia. Was it last week? How did that go?
It's on Sunday, this Sunday actually. Yeah, it's a big deal. So every summer in Edinburgh we have a thing called the Fringe Festival. It's world renowned. Like the city becomes like a hotbed of tourists, and people come to Scotland to see this. It's like comedy, arts, everything you can think of. But there's also an Edinburgh Book Festival, and it's really, really big. I'll give you an idea of how big it is in a second, right? But our talk is on Sunday, and it's basically kind of like reflecting on the last 6 years. Right after us is a live stream interview with Alan Moore. So it's like, okay, this is a legitimate show. Cool. So at least we weren't on before him, after him, because that would have been a hard act.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. Like to be invited to something like that, because it's not a comic thing, right? It's a legit. I mean, I'm not saying comics aren't books, because I think they are. I mean, obviously they should be treated as insightful and as artful as novels, right? Some people still don't see them as the same thing or on the same level, but yeah, to be invited to something that's primarily a novel festival is really cool. So we'll see how it goes.
It's like we were saying before. It's nice to see that your name's getting out there, and not just within comics, but like you're getting invited to this, so you're reaching beyond because we'll be honest, comics is still considered a bit of a niche community, right? It's big, but not like big like movies or TV or some other so it's nice to see that you're getting recognition, and the scope is reaching beyond just comics. So that's a great sign, and it definitely shows that there's definitely brighter things ahead for you. Like bigger and brighter things. So
thank you. Hopefully.
Yeah, and I mean, Killtopia is pretty goddamn good as it is. So imagine bigger and better than that. I mean, fuck.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, well, we'll see how the sequel goes. I mean, I've written the first issue, but I started to write the second and just wasn't feeling it. So I kind of that's usually my cue to step away for a bit, because and maybe do something else, and then the ideas will come, right? You can't force it. So first issue's done. It's been edited. It's actually ready for art whenever we decide to do it. But this time I'm actually going to write the whole thing before it gets produced, because I didn't do that with Killtopia. Okay. I knew the whole arc, but I kind of did it issue to issue, wrote the actual script, but that had its own problems, which I could spend too long talking about. But yeah, my plan is to get it all written, then worry about production, so I can move on to other things. But yeah, I'm really proud of the first issue. It's quite tonally different, I'll say. It still has that British dry humor, but it's very much a cyberpunk horror, psychological horror, which I haven't seen too many media tackle. Cyberpunk horror, I've not seen that too much, so I thought, hey, that's maybe a cool area to look at.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a nice combination. A movie that I remember back in the day that I loved, and it kind of gives off a bit of those vibes, was Hardware. I love that movie. And that kind of
that one, actually, no.
Yeah, it's an older movie, from 89 or 90, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
or 86 or late 80s. Yeah,
Simon Bisley designed the robot in that, man, which is hella cool.
Yeah. Oh really? Okay. Yeah. Oh,
I
right.
think there's
I'll need to check that out.
I think there might be a comic for it as well.
But I did see earlier this week too. Like in the meantime, you got this dropping. I think you said you're gonna start next year, but you kind of already did a short with Kim Hu, which I'm really excited to see because I love her work. I've been excited. I think around the time I was introduced to you, probably around 2019 ish, I saw her work. She always draws those cool snake people. Like she's got like this like whole little clique of characters that I've always wanted to see a comic for. So I'm really happy to see her actually, take the leap into doing some sequential art.
Yeah, so Kim did a print for, I think it was either Cutopia 3 or 4. I think it was 3, and it was by far, yeah, that's the one. It was our most popular one. It still is our most popular one to date. So, and me and Kim just worked so well together on the concept and stuff. And I said, like, let's work on something, whatever it was. It wasn't necessarily going to be the anthology, but then that idea came up. So our short is really dark. It's like... It starts off like a normal Cutopia thing, but then becomes like super grim. Like, the twist, when the anthology twist inevitably always comes, it gets really dark. But yeah, Kim's working on the pages now. I'm kind of being a bit cautious about announcing stuff until contracts have gone out, but we have a lot of people, not just from comics, who are already like basically signed up to do it. Contracts aren't going out for a while yet, but people who have already started giving us story concepts, and they said they're up for doing the art and stuff. So we have a few writers from like the video game world and beyond who are really popular. So it's mind blowing to me that we actually got a chance to ask them to begin with. But yeah, a lot of people really wanted to work on it, and it was just surprising to see how quickly the story concepts came back. Like people clearly are engaged with it and want to do something cool with it, as their submission. So yeah, it basically, I would say the majority of the stories read like Black Mirror episodes, like it, because the theme is media for this one, and it's definitely, hopefully, the first of a series of anthologies that we can do from time to time in between other projects. But everything reads a bit like Black Mirror, technology, the sort of dark side of it, or the funny side of it, whatever. But yeah, some wild ideas, and I can't wait for people to do them, to make them. Yeah.
What's the size of that? Are you projecting? Are you like how many pages are you thinking? About 200 or?
Well, so I'm kind of, through speaking to a lot of people who have done anthologies, I'm aware that these projects can really quickly run away from people, right? So right now the idea is just to make it slightly bigger than a normal Cutopia issue.
Okay.
So we're talking like 60 something, maybe closer to mid 60s, mid 70s, round about that stage. Some people are undecided on their page counts. Say again?
Novella size, pretty much. Cool.
Yeah, probably, yeah, because some people are still undecided on how many words their scripts will be. So I'm trying to be a bit cautious about over promising the size of it. But I recently had a realization though, like we probably will do a Kickstarter for that one unless a publisher picks it up.
Steps up. Yeah.
We will consider, like, if the Kickstarter does like crazy money, then we might add some more one-page shorts to it. So we have a sort of wait list of people ready to go. So it could get kind of
like stretch goals, right? If the funding goes crazy, stretch goals, you'll add a story by so and so, or I love those. Exactly. Those are my favorite kind of stretch goals, where you add like extra pages, like extra content into the book itself. Those are the best stretch goals, like when you do a Kickstarter. I love those.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Yeah, because I suppose like art prints, I mean, we only have so much like wall space in our houses, right?
Yeah.
Whereas more pages is something a bit more tangible. It's kind of like but the wait list. I put out a call for not even submissions, just like notes of interest, like last weekend.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
It went crazy. I had to delete the post eventually. I think we have over 100 people now on that wait list, and obviously we can't cater to them all. But one of my friends said, "Well, there's your first shortlist for the second one you do." I'm like, "Oh God, don't! It's too early to be talking about a second one." But yeah, it's just so nice that people really want to get involved in it. So yeah, we'll share more towards the end of the year. But pretty excited about it.
Hell yeah!
And man, like you're saying, like interest, not enough can be said about having a good title for your book. And Killtopia, I mean, talk about an awesome title for a book, right? Like, it just sounds awesome. It sounds cool. It has a good ring to it. You know, it definitely piques your interest. Like, you hear that, you're like, what the hell's this? Killtopia. It sounds, it's intriguing, you know? Like, so how did you come up with the title for it? I mean, it's a fantastic title, like, name for the book. I mean,
it's really not that glamorous a story, but there is a kind of road that led to it. So I'll start with the ending. I basically popped into my head one day, but I had to think a lot about it. There weren't even any rejected titles. I just decided to maybe wait till I finished the first draft of the first issue before I start to think, okay, what is this called? What could this be, right? So I didn't want to name something. I didn't want to come up with the title first. It might not thematically fit with it or tonally fit with it. But really, it was like, you know, I mentioned the healthcare thing earlier, right? And all that sort of the catalyst for the idea. But that was just like that's a small part of that world. I mean, it's a big part of the world to the characters, but in the narrative, there's so much more going on. I started to think, you know, if someone couldn't afford their healthcare in a paid system, what lengths would they go to save someone who they're a loved one or someone else who was dying, you know, of a disease, a curable disease, or to ease their pain. And I thought, right, Breaking Bad, Walter White does terrible things to provide for his family. Okay, there's like a starting point. And then I thought, for some reason, you know, I think Horizon Zero Dawn hadn't come out yet, but I remember seeing like a reveal for it, and I was like, okay, hunting machines, and it just sort of all these things. Because most of my ideas for comics come from video games. It's like my favorite passion is video games. So I thought, okay, I didn't want to rip off Horizon, so I thought, okay, let's take an aspect of that. There's machines in the city, right? Then it just came from there. Blood sports, you know, willingly signing up to a blood sport when you're chronically under-equipped, like Shinji is, and you might get killed. He doesn't have sponsors. He doesn't have tech. He's doing it illegally, so he doesn't have a permit. But he does it because he wants to ease his sister's pain because the healthcare system's broken. All of this came around, and the kill came from, I guess, the blood sport aspect of it. The Topia just fell in because it's dystopian. It's that sort of like classic dystopia kind of thing. You know, Neo Tokyo by and large isn't that bad a place. It's got problems, but we didn't want to make it like a downtrodden, miserable, depressing, stereotypical dystopia, the noir style cyberpunk. We didn't want to do that kind of thing. But that Sector K is completely ravaged and it's destroyed, and it is pretty much a dystopian wasteland. So yeah, it just popped into my head one day, just like, oh yeah, Killtopia, that might work. Let's just go with that. It was one word, it was punchy, it was cool. And I was just like, yeah, sure. Not the most glamorous story, but there was a thought process that led up to it, you know.
Awesome. I love the title. It's great. Killtopia.
Thank you.
It's so cool.
Oh yeah, I can totally tell you more about the sequel if you want. Like we have revealed the title now. It's called Killtopia Phantoms.
And is
no
this
idea when it's going to happen.
Sequel, prequel? Is it a spin-off, or is it a direct sequel from the ending of the first arc, or?
It's a direct sequel from the ending of the first arc, but 5 years later.
Okay.
So what is the fallout of everything that happens in Volume 5? No spoilers, of course, but and I didn't want to do the same cast of characters again because you know I like to do something different every time. But for anyone who has read issue 5, you've already found out who the star of the next one's going to be.
Yes.
There's a little teaser on the back page. They are the star of Killtopia Phantoms, so they're the one character that comes back. We might have references to the cast and things like that, you know, the original cast and stuff. But yeah, by and large, it's a whole new thing. I won't name the character for spoilers if you haven't read it yet, but that character basically gives up the wrecker life and becomes a cop for a special unit that deals in crimes involving brain hacking. And the unit is called Phantoms, the Phantoms unit, and that's where the name comes from for the series. But the main premise, I'm trying to be like careful not to give too much away, but the main premise is there's a hacker serial killer who's hacking people's brains and making them do crimes on their behalf. But not only that, to create just like confusion and to make sure they never get caught, they're making people believe bullshit conspiracy theories, making them believe like right-wing. It's basically a commentary on misinformation, basically. They're misinforming people, making them believe, like really genuinely believe that the moon is square, or like the planet is a weird shape or something, like flat earthers and stuff like that. Where does it come? Where does all that come from? And in Phantoms, there's a hacker doing it all, just sowing all this chaos across Tokyo, making people hate each other, become violent towards each other, just segregating everyone to make all their lives a misery, so no one knows what's going on, so they'll never get caught. And just to be a dick, just to be a troll, basically. That's why they're doing it as well. But yeah, they're killing people, using people as puppets. There's a little bit of Ghost in the Shell 2 in there because I love that movie. That's kind of a plot point from that. But the character from the first arc who joins Phantom's unit teams up with like a few other cool people to basically hunt down the killer and bring them to justice. But they themselves, it's like an unreliable narrator thing. I wanted to do like cyberpunk horror, kind of like things like Perfect Blue was a good example. Or am I going crazy, or is what I'm seeing right now, this weird thing I'm seeing, or this horrible way I'm feeling, because of someone else, in this case the hacker? So there's a lot of unreliable narrator stuff where like you see some pretty messed up horror things and it's like, that could be real, but is it in their head? And I want to keep the readers guessing as to what reality is and what isn't. So very different to Cosmopia.
I have a recommendation for you. Have you seen the anime Psycho-Pass?
I've heard of it. I've not seen it though.
I think that might be fun for you to check out and kind of enjoy, and give you a couple ideas for where you're going with this, because it's kind of in the same genre, same kind of flow.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll check that out because I'm kind of stuck on issue 2 just now. I'm kind of hit a wall with it. I kind of know what needs to happen in it, but I needed a break from it. But so maybe that will help me get the ideas flowing again.
You're in the early stages of the sequel, like writing it and stuff. Like you said, you had issue 1's complete, and but do you have an art team kind of lined up, or is it still too early for that?
Yeah, we do. On a preliminary kind of basis, like they've said yes now, but they may get scooped up by a bigger publisher or something. Who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, we have artist and colorist lined up for it. No letterer yet, but. If we have to find someone else, that's fine. But I'm just so thankful that they've said they're up for it now, even though they haven't seen the script yet, which is nice. But so we shall see. I could actually start producing the first issue now, and then do a kind of like what I did with the first run, kickstart it, do the script for the next one, and just write them as they go. It wasn't the easiest though, because I guess if you've read the first arc, there is a lot of real world stuff in there, and it was influenced by how things were in the world at that time. And I thought that would resonate in the final book. People would be able to latch onto things and relate with things, but it was difficult because I'd rather just get it all done in one this time, I guess. But yeah, we'll see. I'll probably snap, and my drive to always be doing stuff might just force me to start doing it whenever. But yeah, we need to get the anthology and the omnibus out the way for sure for the first run. But watch this space.
So are you going to do like a collected version of the first arc? Or are you going to kind of wait to see if you get picked up to release that?
We're definitely going to do it in some capacity. I guess we need to figure out kind of what extras we might want to add and things like that. I think me and the current team from the first arc, I think we're just taking a bit of a break from it all now mentally. I'm slowly, very very slowly chipping away at the anthology stuff as well. We want to give like issue 5, I guess, which isn't on general release even yet, time to breathe, before doing the collected book. But I don't just want to do like the 5 books in one book. I want to add some extra stuff to it as well, write some bonus material, stuff like that. But I think just the books on their own would be over, 250 pages, something like that. So that's going to be expensive to produce and for people to buy. So I have to be careful not to add too much extra stuff to it, So I need to be quite smart with the budgeting and production costs and stuff like that. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Nice. I absolutely love. Like the little trades that already come out. Like I like the format of the book to begin with. So I was wondering if you even had any plans to collect it. You know what I mean? Because I kind of like the European way you release the books to begin with.
Yeah, it's weird. I think a lot of people have asked me over the years, like, why didn't you just do floppies first? The real answer, to be honest, is probably a foolish answer, because it's obviously a very expensive, much more expensive book to make. It's just that I realized I could only reasonably crowdfund and ship one book a year, and I didn't want to just send out a floppy once a year because that would have been kind of, you could read that in quickly, and I wanted to like just give people a bit more for their money. That was purely the reason. So yeah.
How did you pick that the size format for the book? Just wondering, because it's a different size from even your normal digest size books. I was wondering just how that came about.
That was just a publisher choice, to be honest. I think they said, oh God, it was so long ago now, but I think they said it might kind of speak to the manga crowd a bit, that kind of more squat kind of format, and maybe just to make it stand out a bit, make it a bit different. I don't know. I forget what the exact conversation was, but that was something that they suggested, and we were just like, yeah, sure, why not? In hindsight, it might have been better as like a standard format, maybe, but a lot of people have said it's kind of like a interesting, kind of more novel-like, I guess, kind of. Yeah. So purely a publisher decision, but yeah.
Well, it definitely sets your book apart because like the whole format is just, obscure, you know what I mean? So it catches your eye, especially with some of the art that you have on the covers and stuff. I mean, like they're just, like it really just drags you to it more than, a lot of other stuff that you run across, especially like on Kickstarter nowadays.
Yeah, that's cool to hear. Yeah, the covers, I think, it's funny. I've actually sold so many copies of Kiltopia at cons on cover alone. And I say, as any exhibitor would do, do you want to know some more about it? Nope, I'll just take the whole run right now. And you're like, really? It has happened a few times, and I think it's just the cover. Because I guess the first two, so the cover for Volume 1, weirdly, the reference point was Akira, but everyone says the second cover looks more like Akira because of
the colors.
King Kaiju with his red outfit, the colors, right? But I had a poster when I was a kid. This is going way back. My old VHS rental shop when I was really young, used to give away its posters. Once the new ones went up.
Yeah.
And there was an Akira one. I had never seen it, but I just thought it looked so cool. And it's the one with Kaneda, standing with a rifle.
Yeah.
And with Neo Tokyo behind him. And that's basically the reference point for the cover for Kiltopia 1. Just that image of the main character standing there with a weapon, kind of cyberpunk city behind them. But everyone says, oh, the second one looks like Akira. I'm like, I can see that, but really the first one, I don't know. But it's just funny that Akira was the reference point for the first one, but everyone thinks the second one is more like Akira. But
because of the red outfit.
Basically, yeah.
I remember, seeing the issue 2 for the first time. My buddy Jake West was got me kind of into Kickstarters, and like I was seeing this all over the place. And like I remember tweeting about like how cool I thought it was, and you responded to me like, "Well, do you want to read it?" And I was like, "Yeah," and you like legit sent it to me, and that was like one of the coolest things because like I didn't really get review copies before that, like so like that's why.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's just like, I don't know, it's just part of my whole kind of take on the thing. Like, I mean, chuck it out there, you don't know what's going to come back, right? I guess as well, being funded by Kickstarter, it's less of a sting to like give copies away, especially like printed ones as well, right? I sometimes will mail people, even friends, if they say, oh, I missed the Kickstarter. I'm like, oh, you're a friend, you can just have one there. Really? I'll give you money. I'm like, they're leftovers from the Kickstarter. It's already paid for. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I don't know. It's just nice to be nice, I guess. Sometimes it's just a way I've always thought. But yeah.
Also really helps get the word out there because like I've pushed this book on everybody I know, and like I've pretty much gotten everybody I know to back it too. So.
Thank you. I did actually have a lot of Canadian backers on this recent campaign, so I got to feel that maybe you guys are responsible for that.
Yeah. Well, Manur's one of the backers. He's in the chats. I think he just received his book yesterday or the day before because I think he posted it on Instagram. He's the creator of Tales from the Interface. He's a big fan of your book as well, and he always mentions it whenever we chat and stuff. So.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, thank you.
Just a shout out to people in the chat. We have Scott, Zod, Matt, who does Tales to Enlighten. He has his Kickstarter out there. Tara's sneaking in a listen from work, so don't try not to turn the volume up there. We don't want you to get in trouble. Make sure you have your earbuds in. Yeah, so. Randy, who's always there. Good old Randy. It's like that comfortable sweater, you know. Yeah. So thanks for I mean, it's not obvious afternoon episodes here, but for you, you're what? It's just rounding out close to 8 o'clock now, I suppose.
Yeah, I kind of got a nice chilled weekend looking forward to it, so it's all good. You guys have always supported kind of my stuff, and you know we've been chatting on social and stuff. So yeah, I'm happy to make the time to come on.
Nice. You mentioned cons. You sell a lot of your books at cons. How many cons do you do a year? Do you go often?
You know, the first year I started doing cons, I should say the first year Piltopia 1 came out, I did a lot. I think I did maybe 20 cons at least.
Wow.
And
okay.
It was tough. It was exciting because it was my first year really properly doing cons, like in a big way. I had done some before, but not really, you know, really getting into it. But it was a lot. And I sort of thought after that year, like that's almost half of the year. In terms of weekends, you know, in terms of weeks, it's like that's a lot. So very quickly started to downsize them. Now, you know, I maybe do 6 a year tops. I think the plan is maybe now that Kiltopia 5's done is to really push it a bit more next year and start doing more. For me, I always had Kickstarters to do and things to do, so I really appreciate my weekends off, you know, my downtime. So I just. And no disrespect to anyone who invited me to a con or asked me to apply, it didn't sound like fun at the time because I was just like, I need to relax. And this year, actually, I've become really good at like respecting my own time better, haven't taken on as many new projects, much better at closing the laptop at a decent time and not working till a crazy hour. I pretty much only ever write comics on Fridays now because that's my day off work.
Okay.
So... You know, because I do a 9 to 5 as well, but I just basically don't work Fridays, so I completely have them free to do creative stuff. That's like the right tempo, I think. So I think to add more cons on right now, I think would be a bit too much. But once this year's out of the way, next year definitely I'm going to start maybe doing more because I won't have as many Kickstarters to do, not as much fulfillment. It's going to be the balance will become a bit better, you know. Mm-hmm. I've never done any out of the UK though. I'd love to do New York. I would really love to do that, but logistically, I guess getting all my stock there, you know, you can put stuff on a boat and send it over, but I just haven't had the headspace to really work that out. How that would all work, but
one of the bigger ones is Thought Bubble, right? For you guys,
yeah, it's by far my favorite of the year. I think a lot of people will tell you that in the UK. For a few reasons. I mean, it feels like it's the UK comic scene's Christmas party because it's the last show before the end of the year. So It's the last chance to hug it out, get drunk at the after party, you know, see each other. And then we might not see each other again until like February, March, even later. So it's kind of like the last chance to see each other. But it's a pure comic show. You know, there's no merchandise tables, none of the Funko Pop stuff. You know, no disrespect to anyone who likes that stuff. It's just, you know, you do see it at comic shows, that stuff taking away trader space and floor space away from actual comics. Yeah. Definitely a thing that's happening. Again, no disrespect if that's your thing, but it is a concern, I think, from the indie comic scene. Certainly, you know, it's getting harder to get into shows because of that less space. But Thought Bubble is purely comics, and the level of talent they get there as guests is wild. So, and everyone networks at this after party, so it's the best place to be seen and get chat with publishers directly and bigger talent to get advice. It's great, and no one will tell you to like piss off. You know, no one's too big for their own boots. Basically, if you're at the after party and you see someone who's really famous, chances are they'll just be like, yeah, we'll chat, whatever. So it's a golden opportunity. And anyone who's watching this who isn't in the UK, if you can make it over to exhibit or even to go as a guest, I guarantee you'll have a blast. because the guests, the public can just go to the after party as well, so you can mingle with like this top talent.
Yeah.
It's great. I also like the London show, but that's becoming really hard to get into now. Like I've done it every year in a row since before COVID, of course. Maybe 5 years in a row, and didn't get in this year.
Oh.
And that triggered something in my brain, like, but I'm doing more stuff now, and more people know me now. And I just asked them, like, not to be egotistical, but I just asked them, has the criteria changed? If so, I'll maybe know how to apply better next year, whatever you're looking for. And they just said, it's a space thing. We had a record number of applicants. We want to give some new people a try. And I'm like, I can't get mad at that, because everyone needs their first time there, right? It would be a shame for people to be denied because the same people kept on getting in. I get that. But yeah, as a result, it's now getting harder because they're mixing it up. So fingers crossed for next year. I'd love to do it again. It's an expensive show to do, but we always make a profit. It's crazy how busy it is.
Okay.
And that one's an official Comic-Con, like a branded one, or?
Yeah, it's called MCM. They are the biggest like runners of cons in the UK. They do really big ones. They're owned by ReedPop now, actually, who do San Diego and stuff. But yeah, it's 3 days. The Friday is 9 till 7 p.m., which is the Saturday, way too long to run a con. I know nobody from that show's watching this, but they need to stop doing that because it gets so quiet for the last 2 hours and everyone is so tired, and it's just like, why are we here? Can we just go home? Yeah, it's a difficult show, expensive, but definitely try it at least once.
Well, let's say you're like, fuck it, I'm leaving at 5. Are there like penalties or consequences to that?
I shouldn't say this, but I did it last year. Me and my friend Chris Ember, he's an artist, so shout out to Chris, he's great. One of his favorite bands and my favorite bands is Glassjaw, if anyone knows them.
Yeah.
And they never play the UK, but they were playing that night. And he was like, you know that we've got tickets to go to see that. And I'm like, oh, I think it's sold out though. I went on Ticketmaster, found a few resale tickets, and I was like, hell yeah. And he was like, yeah, the doors open at like 7:30 though. And I'm like, fuck it, let's just go. Let's just leave now. I put a thing on my table saying, got sick, had to leave. It's just like, fuck it. No one checks, no one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you enjoy them, or are you kind of waiting for the day where you could pull an Alan Moore and just live stream yourself at them?
No, you know what? I this is just me. This is the way my mindset works. I complain about them before they happen. I'm like, oh god, I've got the con next weekend, and I'm like, usually that's just because I'm so busy with other things. But this year, because again, I'm kind of Kiltopia's finished now. Sure, the fulfillment and stuff, but that is a massive thing off my to-do list now. It's great. Now I'm being a bit more like, yeah, you know what? Once I get there, I'll be fine, because I always am. Yeah, once I'm there, I always enjoy it. I actually, because I mentioned earlier, I'm kind of like on ADHD medication now, and sometimes get quite socially awkward sometimes, unless they're like my closest friends and I know them really well. I feel like, I shouldn't be like, in this circle of people. I'm an imposter, the imposter syndrome and stuff. At Comic Cons, I am so confident, and I almost become a different person. I become who I think I actually am. Like, hey, happy to see everyone. Hey, chatting with everyone, networking. Probably not spending enough time at my actual table and doing my bloody job, which I should be doing. But I just want to see everyone, and I'm so like engaged. And then I come home and I'm just like, So yeah, I love them. I love them. I just need to stop moaning about them before I go. The effort to get there and drag my suitcase of comics there, and because once I'm there, I have so much fun. I just need to remember that more. But it's also just like meeting. Like, one of the best things for me is when someone who backed it on Kickstarter, who I've never met in real life, is at the show, and they come up and they're like, "Hey, it's me," and I'm like, "Who? Oh, me from Kickstarter." I'm like, "Oh yeah, holy shit!" Like, "Oh, I wanted to come and meet you in person." I'm like, "That it's crazy to me that people would want to do that, but it does happen, and it's so nice that people make the effort to do that." It really makes it kind of worth it, like the effort. So it's nice. Yeah, I do enjoy it once I'm there, for sure.
So back to Kiltopia, who's your favorite character to write for on that? Like, who do you actually just like enjoy getting into their head and put them on page?
It's got to be Stiletto. Like, writing Stiletto is like a venting process for me when she's being a dickhead.
Yeah.
Because like she's just so animated. She's almost like a pantomime villain in some bits, or I don't know. She's just like the worst parts of people personified until she has like a sort of character arc change, as all characters do. But she's just fun because she's just a nightmare. She's horrible to everyone. She's kind of like she talks like a really brash in a really brash way. She's over the top, and she's kind of the anti-hero for the best part of it. And then I just find those characters so much more fun to write. But then again, no spoilers if you've not read it. We learn more about her past and why she's maybe that way, outwardly projecting this horrible persona. And writing that backstory for her was probably one of the most fun bits to come up with because it's humanizes her, right? And I think that's my favorite characters are ones who have that duality. So you might have a villain who's really outwardly terrible, but then maybe there's a reason why they're doing what they're doing. Maybe they're right in a weird way, in a twisted logic kind of way. So definitely Stiletto. Her whole journey was just such a blast to write. I liked Omi as well because Omi starts off as kind of like not a damsel in distress, but she's kind of a MacGuffin, kind of like helpless, needs help from everyone, until she doesn't. And I don't think anyone expected her character to have, again, no spoilers, but to have the change that she does. She kind of becomes the most important character in the whole series by the end. And I thought that didn't come straight away. That wasn't always the plan. I always wanted to do more with her, but I didn't know. That was in the cliff notes, do more with Omi or whatever. But then it started to fall into place, and I'm like, I think people just really like her now because of that. Like, she has a proper arc where she changes, and I think those two characters are great. I enjoy them all, of course, but Stiletto is just so much fun. She's just such a dickhead.
You mentioned earlier that like you love video games, right? Like that's one of your passions, and so you created this book called Beatdowns Per Minute, which was one of the perks of, I think, you included with you could pick it up along with Killtopia 5. Issue 2 is momentarily coming out. So was that like one of your, like a passion project, like making a comic that's inspired by, let's say, some of your favorite video games and stuff like that? Is that something that you've always wanted to do, or is it once you started working you're like, hey, let's do this because I love this? Or
it's a bit of everything. I can tell you exactly where the idea came from initially. The very small seed of the idea. A friend of mine who's always brutally honest whenever I need an opinion on my work, he doesn't hold back. But I know he's doing it to be constructive. Sometimes he's a bit over the top with it, though, a bit harsh, but I know it comes from a good place. But it's my friend Ian. He said, all your comics have some sort of dystopian or apocalyptic vibe. I mean, my first two series, Vessels and Bust, have like world-ending events, and it's all kind of. I went, I never thought about it like that. I suppose Killtopia does as well, He said, do you ever want to just write something that's like in the real world, or like doesn't have a big cosmic threat or something, a big world-ending danger? And I'm like, yeah, maybe that might be fun. And he said, what other things would you like? What other settings or types of stories would you like to tell? And I love action movies, right? Love them. Specifically like practical action where there's no CGI or choppy quick cuts. Yeah. It's all meticulously planned and smooth camera, and you can really get a sense of the geography, where everyone is in the scene, who's shooting at who. The 180 rule is not abused. And I thought, maybe that would be a fun challenge. Can we come up with really vibrant, really cool action scenes in a comic, a static medium? Can we do really intricate fight scenes and stuff like that and still have it make sense? That may be quite a challenge for me to write, the panel descriptions and stuff. And then my favorite genre of video game is side-scrolling beat 'em ups. My favorite game of all time is Streets of Rage 2. Will never be dethroned. I love it. Then it just clicked together. I'm like, okay, a tribute to beat 'em ups, fighting games, action movies. Let's go. So that's how I met Steve Gregson, who's now one of my best friends, even though I've only met him once in person twice rather. But as soon as we started talking about the concept, it was clear like we were basically the same person in terms of our likes and dislikes and, pop culture and stuff. That's the most fun I've ever had writing a comic script ever. to the point where it was almost like a stream of consciousness. There was none of that like I had with Cultopia. No like second guessing my ideas or getting stressed if things didn't work. And actually, the whole thing was written initially as a graphic novel. There was no floppies. And the reason I did that is because I didn't want to stop. I just thought, let's just keep going and see where naturally where the story goes. We had the very thinnest of plot arcs about what was going to happen. Everything seriously just came naturally, and I just found the spark, and I was like, but a lot of that came from working with Steve, and just I think we had a lot of Skype calls where I'd like play back the last batch of pages I'd written, and he was so good at like coming up with ways to change things, and we never disagreed with those changes. We just sort of got each other, and it was like I jokingly say to people that Kiltopia was the work, BPM was the holiday, it was the downtime, it was the fun thing to do. But yeah, it's just so much of my favorite things are in that book. And yeah, then we did Ninja Baseball Spirits, of course, which me and Steve co-created that one. We didn't co-create BPM, but we firmly co-created that and just did that process again. And that's the second most fun comic I've ever written. So yeah, we clearly bounce off each other well, and hopefully it comes through in the actual book as well. And the Kiltopia connection, it's a Kiltopia prequel. Kaiju Cola is in there. So it's actually set on the night that Kaiju Cola launches in America, but the launch gets sabotaged by a ninja drug cartel who spike the cans and chaos ensues. That connection came pretty quickly because we needed something that, well, I'm not to spoil it, but there's a big thing that happens in BPM. We needed like some type of product that was involved in the thing that happens. And I'm just like, hey, why don't we just make it a Kiltopia prequel? And he's like, yeah, works for me. Simple. And there we go. So it's now part of the Kiltopia family. So,
people that didn't back the Kickstarter, where can they go pick this up if they missed out on the issue 1 Kickstarter? Is there somewhere where they can go and order it and pick it up?
Yeah, sure. So I'm on Big Cartel. I've got a shop on there. If you just Google Dave Cook Comics, Big Cartel, you'll find me there. We've got a few other things on there. Kiltopia is not on there because it's sold through our publisher. We have asked them actually if we maybe have a chat about selling like a short run of Kiltopia on there. But I'm just trying to be careful not to eat into their sales and that kind of thing. So we'll see. It might go on there, but there's other things on there you can check out. Cool. BPM 2, like I say, should be out middle to late September. We had a bit of a delay, but yeah, it's looking really good. So yeah, and that'll be on the shop as well.
Cool, very cool. Yeah, because on social media just recently you were posting your original NES cartridge collection of all the different Nintendo games you had. So that was definitely a jog down memory lane. You have some pretty stellar games in your collection. So
yeah, it's taken a lot of years to get that. They're actually up there. I'm looking at them right now. I just love retro games. I love. I'm a very big believer of collecting them to play them, not collecting them to just have them. Because and again, no disrespect to anyone that does that. It's just different motivations, and my motivation is just to actually play it. And there's a lot of games that I bought in my collection that I never played before, but I'd heard they were kind of decent. And in preservation as well. There's only a finite amount of these cartridges that exist in the wild, and that number is going to go down over time. So I'd like to have one. It's why I have 2 cartridges of Streets of Rage 2 in case one breaks, because I couldn't live without that game. Yeah, I love it. I love it so much.
How's your system running? Is it pretty good, or do you have to blow in it like the games before you put them in? That was always the trick, remember?
Man, I'm convinced that original NES consoles can withstand the apocalypse. It still works perfectly. Yeah. But I recently got a thing called a Retron, which is like a multi-region NES. It plays in HDMI, so I've kind of swapped the original console out for that. Because when I was in Canada recently,
plug them in.
Oh yeah, it's like a top loader, kind of like more like the US and Canadian style, I think. Whereas the one that we have in the UK has got the flap, and you slide it in flat.
Ours is like that too. It was the Super Nintendo that was the top loaded. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So I was actually when I was in Toronto, I went to a place called A&C Games on Spadina Street. Really cool retro shop. But then I was like, I can't play. I don't have a multi-region NES. Just Googled it and asked Steve actually from BPM, and he said, there is a multi-region NES you can buy. So I ordered it on Amazon, got it delivered to our hotel. because the UK didn't have any in stock, and just bought so many games from that retro game shop and took them back in my suitcase. So I got some stuff that never came out here though. So it's kind of like I thought, when am I ever going to get a chance to get these games again this cheap?
Again.
So I thought, hey, why not? Yeah, sometimes it becomes an expensive habit, but I play them all. I love them all. You know, I'm even writing books about retro games now, so it's good to have, you know, original hardware to try things out. And yeah, I don't know. It's my second passion after I don't know, maybe comics. But
how much does, like, let's say like a mid-range cartridge go for?
Depends on what game, dude. And
that's what I meant. Like mid-range, not like, let's say, hard to find stuff that you pay, like, but like on average, what does like an average game that isn't as rare as, let's say, the most rare?
I mean, you can get. I mean, I'll give you a range. It's anywhere from like £5 to like maybe £25.
Okay,
then
so
it's after that point, then it starts to go like that. These are like the collectibles. It gets to a point though where I don't want to. As much as I'd love to have all the physical games, there's things like Zelda 2 in the UK is quite expensive. For the gold cartridge, the original one. I'm not willing to pay the original price for that. What I will do, and you can do this a lot, it's not quite the same, reproduction carts, which more or less look indistinguishable from the originals. But deep down, you know it's not the real thing. It's some. It's a, you know.
How much does the original one go for? The gold.
Oh, I think in the UK it's at least £100.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
You know,
and loose, right? In Ox, you're looking at probably like $600 or something like that.
Yeah, that's it. So the reproduction carts, you know, I also bought a cartridge off of I think it was Wish or something like that. It was a NES cartridge which fully works in the original hardware. It's got like 150 games on it. I started to play it and I was like, okay, this fills some of my collection with the really difficult things to do, but I sort of thought it's kind of like cheating. The ones I can get for a decent price, I'm still going to try and hunt them down because it's kind of a hobby as well, right? How many can I find? And the Comic Cons here in Scotland, actually, there's a guy who runs a shop called Forgotten Worlds. Shout out to Alan who runs it. He's a great guy. He's like this. His shop is like a treasure trove of like I don't know how he finds all this stuff. But he always exhibits at most of the Scottish Comic Cons I do, the bigger ones. So as soon as I hit profit on my table for the weekend, I'll treat myself to a retro game from Alan's table because he's always got rare stuff that I can't find anywhere else at decent prices. So I'm like, that's my little treat for hitting profit. It's a hobby. It's fun, you know.
So you said you're writing books about video games as well. What exactly is the book about? Like, what's the concept? What's the idea?
So I decided to start writing my first video game book in 2017. I didn't start for a while after that, but I had the idea. I just thought, this is going to be really big. I need to really think about this. It's the world's first encyclopedia of side-scrolling beat-em-ups. Had never been written before. So it feels kind of weird to be the guy that wrote the book on it. I thought, okay, I'm going to try. At first, I thought I'm going to kickstart this. Then I was like, nah, I can't, screw that. I was already getting burned out on Kickstarter. So I pitched, the first publisher I pitched was Bitmap Books. They're here in the UK.
Okay.
They do really nice, like, coffee table, hardback, historical books about video games. Pitched them, and immediately they just went, yeah, sure, because it doesn't exist. We'll be the first people to have it. So then it was real, and it was like, holy shit, how do I write? It's 450 pages long. It's massive. I'm tempted to go up and grab it, but I don't want to disturb all my tech and stuff. But it's huge. You could kill someone with it. So it was a big project. It was the biggest thing I've ever written in terms of word count. 2 years it took to play, review, research the trivia, the backstory, the development of all these games. It's not entirely definitive. There's a few games I didn't include because maybe they kind of straddled the line. Like, are they actually a beat 'em up, or are they like a different genre? Or one or two I basically did forget, which is on me. But we just put out a second edition. Actually, it's available for pre-order now from Bitmap Books. I think orders close on the 21st of August. So there's still time to order a second printing. The ones I forgot are in there. so
they got added in. So it'll probably be... See, I think you did that on purpose. To try to get some extra sales on the second printing,
I'm a business genius. But I'm currently I'm currently doing final edits on my second book for them. It's
Okay.
a run and gun encyclopedia because again that doesn't exist. So that's everything from Contra, Cuphead, Carry Warriors, Metal Slug. So that should be coming out maybe early or spring next year. It's up to the publisher, but it's not as big, thankfully. There's more games in it, but the page count isn't as big. We've been a bit smarter with our page designs, so
Okay.
but yeah, so that should be coming out then. But yeah, just love. I mean, because I used to be a games journalist as well, so this helps me.
Okay.
I genuinely find it fun to write about games, even though it's a job. So those books to me don't feel like work as big as they are. It's just fun to dip back into the games journalist mindset and do that. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing that.
Do you still play any modern games, or are you sticking mostly to the retro classics?
Yeah, I play a lot of modern games. I tried to keep up with sort of new releases and things, but because it's been a busy year with the Run and Gun book in Kiltopia, I'm really, for the first time ever, actually falling behind. But again, Steve from BPM is kind of like my voice of reason. We work well together, and he just said, "Look, there's no rush. Who's putting pressure on you to play these games?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just me." So, well, yeah. So now I'm just like not sweating it. Plus, games are cheaper if you wait anyway. You don't need them on day one.
Yeah.
So now I'm just playing more games to just enjoy them now and take my time with them and not feel obligated to rush them, because it's not as fun to do that. But yeah, I just finished Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which I think I put at least 120 hours into. I think didn't feel like none of that time felt wasted, though. It's incredible. I love that game. Currently playing Final Fantasy 16 slowly because I don't have a lot of time just now. The new Double Dragon again, side-scrolling beat 'em up. I love it. Really cool. And yeah, I've got a few other things pre-ordered, but yeah, I'm trying to take it easy, enjoy my retro game room a bit more because I've got so many cartridges.
That new Double Dragon they just put out?
Yeah, it's really good. It's great. It's by the guys that did Streets of Red, which is in my book actually. It's really cool. It's a side-scrolling beat 'em up that has permadeath. You collect money from doing fancy kills, and then you can use them to buy upgrades or not spend any to maybe rack up your money. But once you die, it's all gone. So you have to be really tactical about your upgrades, how you act. It's really cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it's decent. Really, really good.
Yeah, I heard it's really awesome. I haven't played it yet. I'm still going through Shredder's Revenge. Been having a lot of fun with that one.
Oh man, I got to do one more plug on that, right? So I'm dipping my toe into doing games journalism again. And I started writing last year. I joined the team at a company called Lost in Cult, who do Lock-On. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's like a quarterly gaming journal that comes out. It's like 250 pages, no screenshots, like all original artwork by really talented artists. It's just essays and interviews and things about video games. Really well written, really cool. My first piece for them last year was like a 7,000 or 8,000 word retrospective on Ninja Turtles, but not just the games. Like, we've got an interview from Kevin Eastman in there talking about how it all started, from the very beginning, how he sort of grew it into how him and Laird kind of grew it into like a bigger thing, how the live action movie happened, how the toys happened, then the video games, and then we go into like, I've got interviews in there with Digital Eclipse, who did the Cowabunga collection, and I interviewed Tribute, who did Shredder's Revenge, and just asked them, how did you develop it? How did you work with Nickelodeon, because they own the rights to approve all the character designs, things like that. And so that's coming out, I think, at the end of this month or maybe start of next. It's in Lock-On Volume 5. Yeah, really nice books. And yeah, I'm excited to see my first big Turtles piece be published there. So yeah, I'm always plugging stuff. I suppose that's what this is for, right?
Yeah. We have a friend, Fulci, and he recommended beat 'em up to me called Mother Russia Bleeds. Have you played that one?
Yeah, I actually gave it a big spread in the book. It's really good. Really violent. It kind of feels like Streets of Rage blended with Hotline Miami. It's got that gnarly, violent kind of, there's a lot of neon in it, and it's really menacing. And yeah, it's really good. I would recommend it. It's a 4-player game online as well, so it's really good if you've got lots of friends.
Okay.
Yeah, check. Really good soundtrack as well.
I'll have to go pick it up so I can play. Maybe play with him online. Give it a go. Yeah, cool.
No joke. While we're doing this, just got delivered my physical copy of Kiltopia 5, and I gotta say, man, this Derek Robertson print is gorgeous. In print, man. Like
That's amazing timing, right? Yeah, I can't believe that he so he's done 3 pieces for us. He did a print on the very first Kiltopia. He did the variant for Volume 3, and of course Volume 5. He did the variant as well. He's the nicest guy ever. He actually came to Edinburgh just for a holiday, and he emailed me out of the blue and was like, "Hey, do you want to get a drink?" And I'm like, "What?" It's like, you're like the guy, like I just, it was weird, but we had a drink, and he's just the nicest guy ever. Like, you think a guy, like, he's working on The Boys and stuff, right? He's exec producing the show for Amazon and stuff like that, and he's like a legend, and it's just surreal that but I guess it speaks to like the kind of guy he is. He was just happy to do it. Obviously I paid him for it, of course, but yeah, he didn't say, "I'm too big for this." No. It's just so nice that he was like that. But yeah, I'd love to do something with him again, but I can't afford it. Like, I'd love to do like an actual comic with him, but I definitely can't afford it. But who knows? Maybe we'll get paired up on a publisher thing at some point if things work out. I don't know, but
that would be amazing. Yeah, because like I can't think of a book of his that I don't absolutely adore. So
yeah. Well, again, I suppose like Transmetropolitan, right, where it all kind of started for Kiltopia. He did the art, and it just made sense. The weirdest thing, I tell people the story all the time. He was in Edinburgh the very first time we met in person. He was in Edinburgh at Forbidden Planet, which is like a chain of comic shops here in the UK. He was doing a signing because, again, he was on holiday, and they just asked, "Hey, do you want to come in and do a signing?" So I took Kiltopia because he did the print for the first one, and I wanted to give him a copy. And he was there doing sketches, and I was in the queue. And I went up, and he recognized me instantly, and I was like, "That's weird," because I worship this guy. It's the thing. I was so like, fanboy, like, oh my god. And then I was like, "Hey, I brought you a copy of Kiltopia 1. Hope you enjoy it." And he was like, "Yeah, sure. Can you sign it for me?" And I'm like, "But I'm here at your signing, and you're asking me to sign a book for you, and I worship you." And I'm like, "All right, this is weird." But then it was just like, I don't know. It's just so nice. He's just a great guy. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. That must have been like just a highlight of that for you, like a guy like that coming up, a guy that like worked on one of your favorite books, asking you for your signature on your book. Like, that must be like, I've made it. That's a moment where you're like, I'm one of you. Like, no imposter syndrome after that.
No, that's just the way my brain is wired. There's always imposter syndrome. It's weird. Like, I mean, I think it's okay with something like that happening. And anyone who does any creative projects here or is trying to reach a level in the chat, like, this is the advice that someone gave me. It's like, it's not egotistical or vain to be like patting yourself on the back, like, "Oh yeah, maybe I've made it." But in my head at that moment, I was like, "What does this mean? Like, I'm a nobody. This doesn't make sense." But all my friends always tell me, like, "Shut up, man. Like, just be proud of it. Enjoy it. Doesn't mean you're egotistical or you think you're too big for everything to like just be, hey, I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay." So
be proud of something you've done that you've done a good job with, and enjoy it. You put the time in. So how many people have actually? You did 5 issues of Kiltopia. And not just regular floppies, like 50 pages each. And you've completed that series over time. You did it yourself, fulfilling it yourself. Like, I mean, that's a feat. Like, how many people have the fortitude to actually pull that off? I mean,
and sprinkling in other titles during. So, you're multitasking.
So I'll pat you on the back. You don't have to do it to yourself. I'll pat you on the back for that, man.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I guess just one final bit of advice on that theme, right? I mean, anyone who's working on projects in the chat or who's watching this, like, it's easy to get stuck in the trenches, right? You're over your laptop or your tablet drawing, and you're just like, it's been hours and you just can't see it. You can't see the end of the work. Like, it's easy to feel that way though, right? That, why am I doing this? Like, what is, maybe I'm no good, that kind of thing. Yeah, I guess you just have to, like, as hard as it is, just realize that's just your brain talking. You're doing something creative, right? You are doing something of value. Just try and remember that. I need to do that too, by the way. I'm not perfect, but yeah, you're doing something. That's the main thing,
Awesome. So, man, I want to wish you luck for. You said it's coming Sunday, right? Your panel with
with
Craig.
Craig. Yeah, Sunday, 7 o'clock in Edinburgh. 6 o'clock in Edinburgh at the Edinburgh Book Festival. I think Craig is like really worried about it. I was for a while, but then I just realized this is like a victory lap for us. I'm so happy that it's now kind of like finished and we can enjoy it. And
will that be available for people? Like, will they put it up on streaming on the site or something somewhere afterwards? Or are you aware of any of that?
I don't think they do that for the festival, but if they do, I'll definitely share it all over my socials and stuff. So yeah, I guess watch this space. Maybe it will, but yeah.
Cool. Johnny.
That new reprint of Hard-Coded Craig's got coming out looks pretty spicy too. If I didn't already own it, I'd probably be jumping all over that.
Well, I've got a one-page short in it that me and Craig did. It's the first time we've worked together since Kiltopia 2. I did it years ago, though. COVID happened and he pushed the plan back quite a while. But it's a really, really stupid one shot about... I could probably... This isn't a spoiler. It's an advert for a tavern in space where all the bartenders are telepaths, so they know exactly what your perfect drink is until it goes horribly wrong. So... Yeah, it's really dumb. It kind of feels like Kiltopia. So I'm not trying to make you buy it again, but we did a little team up, a one-page team up in there.
There's new content, and I'm definitely getting another print of it. Cool.
Yeah, I think that's why he's doing it. I believe it's just new material. He's worked on some new stuff. So
see, I see your guys. There's a pattern here, you know.
yeah.
See, Johnny's in. Johnny, you got Johnny. Johnny's gonna get another one. You got him.
Hey, I don't get paid for it, so I don't stand to gain from it.
I'm just teasing. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, it's yeah. Yeah. You got to get out there, man. You gotta beat that payment. It's yeah.
Yeah, you got to always be out there, pushing stuff, promoting. It's to a point. You can definitely get hung up on it.
Got to get that hustle, right? You got to get that hustle. Get out there and get that hustle going. Yeah. Yeah. So, Johnny, do you have anything? Any closing? Any last few things you want to bring up before we start wrapping up, or maybe even Dave? Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you'd like to talk about?
I guess just it's weird, right? I mean, the last few weeks have been kind of strange, getting Kiltopia 5 back from the printers and sending them out. It does feel like an end to a big thing we've done. 6 years it's taken, to get to this point, including like the early stage, 2006-07, before we actually started making the book. All that time that it took to come up with the idea. But there's people who have backed the first one, who have backed every single one. And even, if you came in like on this last 5th Kickstarter or from the start, like genuinely we appreciate it. Like we really do. Just the support. And of course, if you're new to it, you're diving in for the first time, you don't know our track record, you're taking a gamble on this, right? And hopefully it's paid off for you and you've enjoyed it. But yeah, just wanted to say a big thanks to everyone who's given us the time and supported us. And it's crazy. It's really just, I can't even quantify it all, but it's so nice to see. And it's appreciated by all of us on the team. But we're not done yet. Of course, we've got the sequel in the works. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we couldn't just end. Yeah,
anthology as well. Yeah,
anthology. Yeah, we couldn't end it there. So we excited to get back on the horse after we've had a big time off. Of course, to recharge. Yeah, watch the space. It's gonna for the next.
Yeah,
chapter.
Watch the space because like we were chatting before we went on air. You probably have some big things coming, some announcements. So people should. Watch the space because Dave might have a few things coming his to announce within the near future probably. So
yeah. Fingers crossed. Yeah, this is all the off the record stuff we discussed earlier. So it's like keep an eye out.
Yeah. Johnny, do you have anything in closing?
No, man, just thank you so much for being consummately cool and taking a chance and letting me read your book for free, because I was late to it, and I absolutely love it, man. It's one of my favorites, and like I said, it got me into backing Kickstarters, and I'm almost 175 now back. So.
Oh man,
175. That's pretty good.
nice.
I don't think I'm that high. I started a little bit after Johnny. I don't even. What am I at? 136. 136.
That ain't bad, man. Like,
well, that's all right.
If you get your super backer badge, I think you're a gangster, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once you get the super backer badge.
You've got me curious. I'm literally just looking up what I'm on.
Yeah, you're probably dwarfing us because you've been at it for a while. So
I don't even think I want to know. Do I want to? 212.
212. That's a respectable number, man. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh man, but hey, it's like I said, it's the support comes around, right? We're helping. We all rise up together. I firmly believe that, and yeah, people helped me out at the start, so I'm gonna help other people out who need the help. It's only fair, right?
Well, even if you don't back as many as we do, I mean, even if you're selective, at least you're helping someone bring their projects to life. So it's, I mean, whether you back a lot or a few, I mean, showing support to any creator that's trying to put their stuff out there is, I'm sure they appreciate it. And, you're contributing, whether it's in a small or a big way, at least you're contributing to the community. So it's nothing to frown at.
On top of that, even if you didn't back the Kickstarter, Killtopia is widely available. You can get it off of Evil Amazon, or you could go to BHP Comics and get it. It's very widely, so you can pick it up, no problem. And I highly recommend it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we're... Yeah, 5 doesn't have a release date yet, but it's imminent. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. We wanted to get the Kickstarter out. People get annoyed if people can buy it generally before the Kickstarter is done, because they deserve to get it first, right? So keep an eye out on the social medias for that.
That's very much appreciated by, I think, the large majority of backers, that you take care of the backers' books before general public can get their hands on it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right, Dave, man. I'd just like to thank you one more time. Good luck on Sunday. Good luck with your future endeavors. I hope it works out for you, because I'm going to keep an eye on your space as well to see if any of the things shake out that we talked about. And, man, I have to say thanks to Johnny, because he's the one who put me on to your book. And, man, love Killtopia. So if anyone out there hasn't read it yet, find it, pick it up, buy it, read it. I mean, it's top-notch comics. So, yeah, get out there and get your hands on it.
Thank you so much for all that, and thanks for having me again. It's a blast, and yeah, for supporting us. And yeah, I see all the social shares and everything. It's massively appreciated. Thank you.
All right. I want to thank everybody who watched. We had a pretty big audience this whole show, so we appreciate the hell out of that. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week sometime when we figure out what we're gonna do. So,
all right. Have a great weekend, everyone.